Would you lead us?
Dear Heavenly Father God, I just want to thank you for this day, dear Lord. Just ask, dear God, that you please be with the board, dear Lord, as they make decisions that affect our school, dear God, give them wisdom. Dear Lord, just pray, dear God, that as we go into this Christmas season, dear Lord, that you just our kids as they leave us for a few weeks, dear God, just watch over them and keep them safe, dear God. I pray, dear Lord, that you can give each person here a wonderful Christmas season, dear God, and help us to realize, dear God, the true reason for the season, your Son, Jesus Christ, dear God. I pray this morning, dear Lord, for Israel. Just ask that you be with them, dear God. Stand by them, dear Lord, and help us, dear God, to support them the way that we should, dear Lord. Pray, dear God, that you be with our school system, each faculty member, each student, each bus driver, cafeteria worker, dear Lord. Just help us, dear God, to do the things that you have us to do, to be the light that we need to be into these young people, dear God. Help us, dear God, to glorify you in each thing that we do. It's in Christ's name that we pray. Amen.
Ms. Collins, you have some fifth graders, student council. Would you let them introduce themselves, or you introduce them, or ever how you want to do it?
Can I go ahead and name her? I'm the girls act, I'm going to students.
Hello.
Megan Officer, or
What was your name?
Val.
Oh, okay. I taught your mother. So, okay. So that one. And y'all are here to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. So go ahead and do as you.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Subject, what's your favorite teacher? Okay.
I'm interested in doing math. I'm interested in learning new things. And my favorite subject
It's what?
is math.
Math.
I'm interested in being an econ tech with a whole set. And my favorite subject is math.
Well, then why your favorite subject science?
I'm interested in baking and cooking and science my own restaurant when I grow up, and my favorite subject is science.
Very good.
I'm interested in helping my mom, and my favorite subject is math.
Go ahead.
I'm interested in science. My favorite teacher
Okay, go ahead.
I'm interested in welding, and my favorite class I'm interested in weaving and crafts, and my favorite subject.
Yeah, math. Who's the math teacher? Okay, thank you.
And she don't play basketball. She won't play.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda for today.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have it? All in favor? Any opposed? Do I have a motion to approve the November 2nd, 2023 minutes? Do I have a second?
You got it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ms. Klein, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
No.
I forgot to, but I'll do it next time.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close public comment?
I move we post public comment.
Do I have a second?
You have it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, first on the agenda is Adam, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. It looks like Superior.
Yep, Superior.
Well, it's anyway.
Got like a silent C in there.
Okay.
Good morning. My name's Adam Superior. I'm a partner with Anderson Smith White, your independent audit firm. And here to go over your financial statements. We conducted the audit in the spring when we came and started working on compliance, and we'll go through a couple of letters that show our conclusions there. And then we come back in August and conduct the financial statement audit and produce these statements. All 70-some pages are all required, all full of information, but today I'm just going to point out a couple of the items I think are most important. The financial statements really gauge you on basically two various balance sheets, so to speak, two financial guides, and that's net position, which is taking your fund balance and adding all these assets and liabilities for your buildings and pension plans and compensated absences. And so when you read through these, you'll read about net position going up and you'll read about fund balance going up. And to me, and what I think the board should be most important or most keyed in on is the change in fund balance. That is the money you have available to actually appropriate in the budget. You can't spend the value of your buildings. You don't really owe all that money for the pension obligation. That's a state retirement plan. Compensated absences, you'll never pay those out all at once. So really, when you read through these, fund balance to me is the most important numbers to look at. And so first off, page 1, you actually hire us to conduct the audit and give our opinion on the financial statements. Good or bad, making money, losing money, I am simply stating that we believe these financial statements are accurate. And so, opinion letter, and the first paragraph is the opinion paragraph, and it basically states that we believe that these financial statements accurately reflect net position and fund balance as of June 30, 2023. This is considered a clean, unmodified opinion letter. So if you look at page 4, just to kind of show you the disconnect between net position and fund balance, page 4 you have a couple of financial highlights. The first one being that your net position increased by $3.3 million. I wish I could come tell you had $3.3 million more to spend. That is just, again, changes in value of assets that are not cash. And the second bullet point shows that there was an increase across governmental funds in fund balance of $143,000. So those are the two numbers that you'll see throughout these statements, the net position and the fund balance. The fund balance money in hand, so to speak. So if you turn to page 14, you skip exhibits 1 and 2. That is a balance sheet statement at the net position level. But again, to me, fund balance, which are a balance sheet in Exhibit 3 and an income statement in Exhibit 4, really will tell the tale of your true financial status. So this is a balance sheet for all of your governmental funds. The general only has $16,000 of fund balance. Basically, to spend it all, and then you start the impact aid and other funds that are received in the other revenue fund, which is also a local fund. And so all of your fund balance locally is really housed in that other special revenue fund. So that is $1.2 million. Your general fund, it had $17,000 of fund balance last year. This year, $15,100. Really no change because again, you spend what you receive and then move spend out of the Fund 8, the Special Revenue Fund. That fund actually increased its fund balance by $263,000. Your capital outlay fund used $70,000 of fund balance, and your individual schools funds used $49,000 of fund balance. Those numbers are seen on the income statement in Exhibit 4, but across the board there on the balance sheet, $1,793,000 of fund balance, most of that being housed in that other special revenue fund. There are restricted funds within that fund balance that have to be used for some state and federal grants that actually run through there. It's not all unrestricted monies. Impact aid, that's pretty free and clear. Indirect cost is free and clear. Some other tuition and fees, contributions, those can be spent pretty much anyway. But there are some funds like NC Pre-K and Medicaid, programs like that that actually run through there, and those funds have to be used on those programs. So when you look at that fund balance, there's a breakdown. $105,000 of it is actually restricted by state statute, by law. You cannot appropriate fund balance for receivables. You have to wait till the cash is in hand, and then you can appropriate it the next year. They just don't want you spending money you haven't collected yet. So $105,000 of it is restricted, cannot be appropriated because it's in the form of receivables, not in cash yet. And then $790,000 is restricted for those programs. Most of that being Medicaid, leaving you really only $291,000 of fund balance available for spending on just general education. So, even though you have $1.8 million of fund balance total, the real number is the $291,000. Capital outlay, very little there. Individual school funds, those are monies raised by the kids. Athletics, field trips, those are going to be spent on those activities. So you're really at a point of not a whole lot of money really truly available for spending above and beyond what you collect. So there have been federal funds received over the last few years for COVID-19 or those programs, learning loss, guidance counselors, nurses, various programs that are going to end in the next 6 months to 18 months. And so the ability of the school system to continue those programs after the federal dollars have expired is really only possible to the tune of $290,000. So,
and that's right there, excuse me,
Yep.
that's that special revenue, right?
yeah, that other special revenue fund, that $291,000, that is essentially your available fund balance to spend on any mark spending. The $790,000 really earmarked mostly for Medicaid, has to be spent on the state, a couple other programs there. So again, you're really to a point of only being able to spend what you collect in a year. Your two biggest funding sources outside of state and federal, county revenues, those have been stale over the last 15 years. You've gotten some bumps maybe a couple of years ago. So that funding source, again, that is going to be your go-to for actually adding funds or having other funds to spend on new programs, or covering the cost of some of those federal dollars that are going to expire through those COVID-19 grants. And then also the impact aid, that money for federally connected students, whether it be just because of the vast amount of national parks or the groups that are considered federally connected students, like Indians and people that work at a casino that work in the lumber industry. So those are your two big local sources, essentially. Any questions about your fund balance? Again, pretty much break even, a little bit of money added, net between the other special revenue fund, capital outlay, and individual school funds, but really only having $290,000 truly available. And that $290,000, again, is going to be impacted by the expiration of those COVID dollars, as well as the profitability of your child nutrition fund. So if you turn to page 22, we have one other fund besides those local funds, and that's the Child Nutrition Fund. Last 2.5 years before 22-23, all kids were eating for free under a COVID-19 USDA feeding program. All kids ate for free, the reimbursement rate was high, you were profitable for a couple of years. You were able to bank about $60,000 in the bank. And if you look at page 22, the top of that page, there is $1,970 of cash on hand as of June 30, 2023. And that's even after borrowing $80,000 from local funds. So you have implemented the CEP program for the 23-24 year. It's my understanding that you have seen an increase in profitability, but between labor costs and food costs, inflation, I think, is going to make it very difficult to remain profitable and be profitable enough even to pay back that full $80,000. So over the next year or two, we'll look at whether we need to call that a loan or just call that a transfer, because again, whether you have the ability to pay off or not, we'll see after that CEP program takes hold. You increase participation, and just see what inflation does, again, with food costs and salary costs. So that has the potential to be, a burden on that $290,000 in the future. If you have to start funding, because when they run out of money, kids have to eat. You have to give them the money to eat. So when they run out of money, you'll lend it, and you're required to lend it. So again, that fund's profitability will definitely impact your fund balance going forward. And hopefully the CEP program will end up being a profitable venture for you guys. After that, we have pages and pages of footnotes going over all of your various assets and liabilities, all the disclosures that are required. But if you turn all the way to page 60, so like I said, when we came in the spring, we start our compliance portion of the audit. Page 60 is the beginning of 3 more letters. One letter is over internal controls over compliance and internal controls over financial reporting. One letter is over compliance with federal requirements for major programs. And another letter is over state requirements for major programs. All 3 of those are also clean, unmodified opinions. We noted no deficiencies in internal controls. We noted no instances of federal dollars being spent out of compliance with the various programs that we audited. We found no state dollars, no question costs. So again, those 3 letters starting on page 60 are also part of, again, our opinion on the financial statements as a whole, both financially and compliance related. So this year we audited the COVID-19 dollars. They have to be audited every year because they're considered high risk, and also impact aid. So those were your 2 major federal programs. You also have programs like EC and Title I. The federal programs are audited on a rotational basis. We have to audit every major program once every 3 years, and we have to cover 20% of your federal dollars every year. So again, there's a rotation of those programs. This year was impact aid and the COVID dollars. And real quick, just for reference, page 70. Page 70, this is your schedule of federal and state awards. A third of the way down, or 25% of the way down, there is the total COVID-19 Education Stabilization Funds. Federal AL number 84.425, $964,000. That is the federal COVID-19 dollars that you received that are not reoccurring. Again, will eventually expire. If you go up the page and over to the next page, those are the list of programs that they are essentially funding. Emergency relief, learning loss, emergency relief, cyberbullying, suicide prevention, principal retention. So those programs all fall under that Education Stabilization Fund, and those are, again, those COVID-19 dollars that everybody receives across the country, but again, set to expire over the next few months to year and a half or so.
You said 6 to 18 months. Why, I thought it was going to be 6 months period.
So if you look at that, and I don't know the exact expiration of all the programs, but you can see the education stabilization is actually made up of several programs. There's ESSER, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, ARP, all of those expire at different times.
Okay.
Any questions? That is the gist of the 70 pages. Again, anytime you want to look at where you stand, for me, it's Exhibit 3, 7, and 8. Those are the income statement and balance sheets for all of your funds at the fund level, excluding, again, the value of buildings, cost of pension and post-employment benefits, removal of all the compensated absence liabilities for teachers who have 20-some years built up. So the funds on hand are found in those ordinances.
Who has the expiration of these?
That's where they expire.
Majority of those expire next September 30th. You can encumber those funds and still spend them until December of next year.
It is not just about the expiration of those programs. You don't just get to spend as much in those programs as you want. You have allotments. And so the remaining allotments, that would also tell the tale of how much is available. You may have been allotted $5 million in one of these programs, but if you spent $4.5 million, then you only have $500,000 left. So looking at expiration dates on top of remaining allotments, and they are very narrow focused on what you can spend it on. I mean, a lot of places just got more money than they can spend because you just can't keep buying things for learning loss. You can't just keep paying for HVAC. So there's a very limited window on each of these programs of what you can spend it on.
And then those allotments come at different times? Is that part of the reason for the?
There were different groups, different PRC numbers that came at different times. So I guess it was your CRA, your CRF funds, they came first, and we expended those, and now you've got your ESSER 1, your ESSER 2, and ESSER 3 funds, so they all have different dates to expend those funds by.
Basically, the federal government sent out dump trucks of cash all over the country. They dropped it off at the state level, and then they started parceling it out in these different programs, all really under kind of the American Recovery Program. So even though there are various programs, they were kind of deciding, all right, what can we spend all this money on? How about this? How about this? And so they came in these waves, and therefore are expiring in those same kind of waves. But yeah,
And then as the state hadn't spent all their money in certain pots, and they reallocated that in a different way back out to the schools, so we might have got something that was like a total surprise, or,
There is holdout that some of the districts are hoping that the allotments that weren't able to be spent will be continuously reallocated and put into a different program or extended, because again, the federal government shipped out the money, they don't want it back. It's spent in their mind. So there is a chance that allotments might be rolled into new allotments, but there's no guarantee of that.
So who absorbs that money?
Well, it really wasn't a dump truck of cash. You just won't get it from the federal government. The federal government will get to keep it, and they'll send it to Ukraine.
Anywhere but us.
Any questions? I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the hard work Lester puts in getting ready for us, and I appreciate you guys as a client. And if there are any questions throughout the year about financial statements or accounting, my number is up at the bottom of all those letters. for you to call. And you can just call for Adam. You don't even have to say my last name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, leadership team updates.
So, like Ms. Walsh is kind of parent stepping in on this, on her way over here. I'm sure Mr. Knopf might be the same way, so.
Mr. Mathis,
Immediately for it.
Yeah.
you give them all.
So this week, we have been doing the work keys testing at the high school. That's for all students that are CPE completers, and they're actually finishing that up this morning. It's a 3-part test, and some of the students chose to come back in today to finish part 3. And as far as guidance office, the FAFSA, the opening date has been pushed back for FAFSA until December the 31st, so that's when students will start completing that for application to school next year. Our testing window for the fall semester is December 13th through the 19th, so we'll start testing on the 13th. We have a band concert coming up on December the 12th, and a chorus concert on December the 19th, and I did not write the times down. 6:30 for both of those. And the band is currently selling fruit, oranges and grapefruit, so if you need some oranges for the Christmas season, find a band student, stop by and see Miss Watkins at the high school. She'll be happy to sell you some. In sports, somebody said there's a football game tonight, so we're excited about that. Plymouth area, it is a regional final. The winner will go to the state championship, and the state championship will be on Saturday, December the 9th at 12 o'clock at UNC Chapel Hill. Is where that game is. Let's see, wrestling. The boys wrestling team will be going to Cherryville today, and then wrestling in Charlotte tomorrow. And although they're still missing several of their key wrestlers, they've been doing really well. Actually won a tournament a couple weeks ago. Girls wrestling started, and it's going well. Those kids are learning a lot. Basketball practice is taking place, but games are on hold, waiting for football to end. And in CTE, our barn is complete. The only thing we have left to do is to put up the stall doors on the inside, and they are at Tractor Supply. And Murphy and I think Patrick was going to pick those up so Mr. Farms' class could install them.
This morning.
This morning, yes, he's going to get them. We have purchased a covered trailer, enclosed trailer for the carpentry program through the Dogwood Trust Funds. And we have the truck ordered, and it will probably be here sometime in February, is what we received word yesterday. So we're excited about that. The CTE wheel classes, where the 8th grade students are coming over to the high school and get introduced to our CTE programs, they are going fantastic. So the kids have just built, in Mr. Parham's class, I think there's 18 in there right now maybe, and they have just built toolboxes, and they're fixing to build birdhouses between now and the end of the semester. And the kids are really enjoying that program, so we're glad we're able to offer that. In our health science program on November the 7th, we had a blood drive at the high school. We had 44 donors that donated 42 pints of blood, so that's really good. And tomorrow is our HOSA regional competition, and Ms. Adams has 30 students that are participating in the regional competition, so things are going great at CTE also. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Letitia.
Hey, good morning. If it would be all right, I would like to reserve my time. Ms. Davis will be bringing a policy to you to review, and so I will be on standby just to answer any types of questions that you might have, so I'll reserve my time for that.
Miss Sunny.
We've seen an uptick in our community and the surrounding communities of death by suicide and death by overdose over the last 2 months. And we've seen a pattern with our own students, a lot more crisis, a lot more need. It feels very heavy, particularly in the middle and high school. So I appreciate Mr. Matheson's prayer this morning. We definitely need it for those of us that are trying to keep their heads above water. It's getting up. On a lighter note, speaking for the Lady Mouse Wrestlers, they are raffling a PS5 so that they can get singlets to wrestle in. If we can get that word out, and if anybody wants one, I've got some. So thank you.
Mr. Moody, do you have anything for us?
Just a few things. We had a full lockdown drill and evacuation from elementary, which went rather well, with conjunction with the sheriff's department. Also, as you know, I don't get state. That horse, but we do get. We allow some of our local funds to find the forfeitures, maybe average several $100s a month to use to help with school. And I'm right now. We've got radios and batteries. Our next thing is we had an incident in high school where David could test this. As far as we had a fire alarm and a lockdown drill, and not about. It's the intercom system that's having issues with it on both campuses. It's going to cost them $3,500 to patch or fix his right now, so every classroom will hear these alarms or get the announcements. And then we just, me and Ms. Knight and Letitia submitted probably about $600,000 grant request, because the one thing we do get each year is Safe Schools grant from the state of North Carolina, which has to be approved. I'm not sure I'll get all of it. I've never asked that much before, but if they do award that to us, that'll help pay for our intercom systems. We need new door locks, external door locks. We need our interior locks rekeyed. We've had the same key for 30, 40 years, and various other odds and ends we may need. So hopefully in a month or two we'll know if we get that or not. And if not, we'll just continue to keep patching things up the best we can to keep our kids safe.
When will you know?
Hopefully in the next month or two.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Okay, next on the agenda is survey approvals, principals, and directors.
So actually, that's going to be me.
Okay.
So there's two that you received in your packet. The board has asked to see surveys prior to them going out to parents or to students. You received 2 Gear Up surveys in your packet, and I just would seek your approval right there up with those.
What is the 2023 campus visit survey? Who does that?
It would be Francine, so if the kids say go to Western for a day for
I
a
mean,
program.
who's will be taking the survey?
Students. It's like
Oh,
how.
it's a visit survey to campuses. Okay.
Yes, yes. Was it, you see those questions there, did it help them, by going, what could they do better, those kind of things. Just maybe check your messages.
Do I have a motion to approve these 2 Gear Up surveys?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. School improvement plan request for approval. And is that you too?
Well, it can be. You've had now school improvement plans and district improvement plans for 2 months.
Right.
We had to let the plan sit for 30 days from the last meeting. I do know that we had no responses on the public input. I have a copy of that. It was put out on our website, and so it's there that there were no responses. I just wanted to let you know that. So.
Do we have any way of knowing how many people visit our site? Is there any way of doing that?
I don't know. I can ask that question.
It's kind of interesting to see that, because there's so much information on there.
There is.
And if there's a way that we can see it, I mean, not who, but how many actually.
There may be some.
Just views a day. Yeah, I think that would be, if we could possibly do that, at least it would tell us that some people are getting their eyes on something, but they're not participating in reading the stuff.
So do I have a motion to approve the school improvement plan request for approval?
I move that we approve the request for school improvement plans for the, I guess, the elementary, the middle, and the high school.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, Ms. Knight, district improvement plan request for approval.
It would be, can I just say ditto from what I just said?
Okay.
So that was also going to be part of
Okay.
the survey.
Do I have a motion to approve the district improvement plan? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Mr. White's not here, so I guess you're on again. Facilities update this night.
I just want to give you, at the last meeting, you approved for us to proceed with sharing with the county the stadium renovation as a request for qualifications for the architect. So we met actually that afternoon, the next day, with Jason Marino and turned that over to them. This kind of went back and forth, I think, with the, I can't tell you what happened on the county commissioner sides of it. I think they have, Jacob Nelson's been involved in speaking with them. I think they're getting ready to maybe request a joint meeting with y'all so that you can really, everybody can ask the questions they need to ask, everybody be on the same page. You can decide who's paying for what. I spoke with them, I spoke with Jacob and Jason on Wednesday and asked them to get in touch with me, told them we had a board meeting today at 10. I have not spoken, they have not responded back to me with some times so that we could get out on my board to see what would be most appropriate for you to meet with the board of commissioners. So at that time, you can ask any questions you'd like to, because we really need to get the ball rolling on this. We're behind the 8 ball now. I will tell you that they will be picking up the temporary bleachers next week. Because we're finished with them. We don't need to be paying rent on bleachers to sit down there. Regardless of what happens, they need to be removed so we can pour that concrete pad for permanent bleachers and work on the rest of the stadium. But that's all the update that I have, because once we left here, that's as far as I'm aware of it at this moment.
Mr. Moody, update on board meeting audio options.
You got the tech department up here and looked around. We've got, if you do,
That's in their packet.
it is, okay. If you've got the, just like using the lapels, put the speaker back here, I think maybe a little bit of a sounding board. You're looking at taxes and all, probably about between $1,500 and $1,600. It's gonna be loud, and like I said, it might be just a little bit of an echo, but that's just to give you an idea of what that's gonna be like. Probably each of y'all have lapels, you'll be wired up, so you'd have a hot mic, so don't say anything under your breath. And then probably have one handheld mic for whoever comes up to the podium. So that's, like I said, with the small room, it's gonna be, it'll be a lot. We may have to turn yours down, Mr. Nelson.
I know, you should speak loud and good, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, but that's roughly how much it's gonna cost to integrate to the system.
And I do believe that that is something that the board's in a position to afford, if you choose to do it.
So do we need to vote on this now?
Yes, that way if you choose to, we go ahead and get the equipment
All
order.
right, do I have a motion to approve the boardroom audio for better sound presented by Mr. Moody? Do I have a motion to approve that?
You do, yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? So that means I've got to break a tie.
Sounds like something we'll do.
Well, I've listened on the website, and it is hard to hear.
Especially if you're hard of hearing.
Well,
That already.
my wife says I'm hard of hearing, but I have selective hearing.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes.
She's got this microphone here. Should anybody put that microphone up there? and record it, would that make it better online? Would that solve the problem?
I can answer this question because remember when Randy used to be in here? Wasn't his name Randy? He used to come for the Star and he used to sit up here.
But he didn't have a microphone, I don't think he did.
No, but you could hear I could hear everything that's going on right here. But if there's noise, it's interrupted. It's interrupted. If there's, and back here, you don't hear what people are saying back here, especially if somebody's back. Like when Kevin was talking the other day, I was just wondering if anybody could hear back there. So,
Well, I just wonder if you put that microphone on that desk, and if somebody's standing at the podium, it would all be voiced towards our, that's just my question. So if it,
I don't know. I have not seen it that way. But I mean, you could test it, right?
Well, I do know people watch the feed, and I don't know people at work, they probably shouldn't be watching it. Since we meet at the time that we do, because that's taking away time from their employers, but maybe they do watch it, but probably some of the people that do watch it are older people. I don't know, I really don't know, but this is something that I brought up early on when I first got on the board, and I try to speak loud enough that they can hear.
So is this something we can test with the paper then, just to see if it worked? Say $1,500?
I suppose, but really our audio is pretty good during the meetings. And if I do move up there, then also the video has to move up there. And then like I have to like video other people if they're talking like over here. So it's also about video and placement. And this morning I did have some connection issues with the mic for this and rotation issues on Facebook. 'Cause Facebook is being very weird lately. But that just depends on what y'all decide. I think the audio is pretty good on our part.
Is that a new mic? I mean, is that have they been using that one?
I think we've been using this one for a while since
not
I've been
seen
here.
it. I just wondered if you could do an extended cord to put the mic up there and you can still film back here.
Yeah.
Because still, if you do get $1,500 audio system, you're still not sure if that's going to solve the problem online. Because some people have internet issues and things like that. So I just wondered if it's something you want to try out before voting on, or if we can, like I said, we can buy a cord for you. So it's need about a 25-foot cord. But just a thought.
Well, if the Star isn't here, then we don't have it again. I guess that's from my state, I already brought this up at that meeting. The people need to hear the meeting. And when I used to watch the commissioners, and they had mics for crying out loud, I couldn't hear them. It's very frustrating. I mean, it's like just shut it off. You can't hear people.
Well, they don't talk into the mic.
You have to talk
They didn't
into the
talk
mic,
into
and if
the
you
mic.
don't,
I yelled at them, but they didn't. They just moved on.
Do we want to see if we can resolve this issue by doing what Mr. Moody proposes before we,
Just a trial.
just a trial before we
I will
do?
tell you that when Randy Moody and Cullen and Ms. Moody, we were in here trying to set up you don't really know about the audio system till you buy it, but there was a lot of repeating. There was a lot of echo because this is a small block room. And so I know it's very hard to hear at times, but when you have everybody talking into that, then you're hearing all that echo off that. So I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I like the idea of maybe trying that, and if it doesn't work, we're going to
You still can always go back to it, but I just,
and Ms. Ditchell, you brought up when people talk in the audience that you can't hear them at all, even though they can hear us.
Yeah, because of that.
So maybe we can figure out how to do a wireless mic.
well, I think we put that up there. It may, because they'll be talking towards the microphone and their backs won't be to it. So I'm thinking if that's a good enough microphone, it might solve the problem, but we'll know till it's right.
We can maybe test out some things.
Yeah.
It's what you're holding a mic.
No, the mic's right here.
Oh, the
This
mic
is,
is down there.
yeah,
Okay.
it's on the chair.
Okay, you're holding it.
And that's the first time I've seen that. That's why I said something. That's the first time I've seen them use that. So
Yeah, okay.
What would a wireless mic require if they can hear us okay, because I try to speak loud enough. But if people in the audience when they're making a report,
Yeah.
Because the information they're giving is quite vital.
Well, it's the same thing as y'all having the pails, you would have to still have a system with a speaker, you know,
Even if we had a wireless mic to pass around.
You gotta hook the wireless mic, it's gotta connect to something
it's
to
got-
the device.
so you're still gonna look at a pretty good sized sum of money, because for the system, the mics are not that bad.
What if you
price.
took one of those, I don't know the correct word for it, I think the kids call it like a block rocker, you know, I mean, but like, you can, it has a mic on it, that it's an amplifier really.
They use them over at high school.
Yeah,
So
you can
what
get
if
one of
you
those
use something
sounds
like
for a
that?
little over $100.
For the audience that was speaking, so you could hear that more clearly, we could also try, we have one here at the
Yeah,
office.
that'd be a good idea. You can just, everybody wants to speak, you go up to the podium and have the mic there and the speaker right there beside them, and so they can hear
Oh,
it.
it's got a wireless mic.
Oh, does it?
Pass around.
Karaoke machine.
Here's what I recommend. Here's what I recommend.
Mr. Chairman, we have a motion on the floor, so we
Yes.
either got to withdraw that or act on it. Is that correct?
Well, no, whoever made it can withdraw.
Yeah, right.
Here's my recommendation, you either vote up or down, yea or nay, and then ask the board if do you have a motion to discuss the options for audio equipment. So,
Sorry.
your motion on the floor, you have to break the tie.
Yeah, you gotta break the
I
tie.
gotta break the tie. All right, I'm gonna vote no, and the only reason for that is I think we need to discuss.
Okay, now you ask for a motion to discuss audio options and just continue your conversation.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda.
Now we need to discuss audio options, okay?
And several have already been mentioned. It's,
And could I add to your motion also maybe video options, because that was part of the conversation from before as well, audio
okay,
and video.
audio
options.
and video options. So, floor's open for those discussions.
Well, I think we should have video and audio, because I've sat on the other side and I've had so many people complain. And it's not, I understand what she's saying, you're right, we're gonna be so close in here, I mean, I can understand. But mics can be turned down and things can be tweaked, and we can make this workable. And I see this, honest to God, I see this visual of somebody recording and keeping track of this, and it's actually going on our website. And when people click on Board of Education, here's our policies, here's our board meetings. And I know the people, I mean, who I speak to them it just sounds like it's duh. It's like, this is an intelligent, professional way to handle such a formal meeting. I mean, we're not just like, just anybody. We're at the school board meeting. And all the taxpayers and all the people can go to the website, and a lot of people will feel comfortable with that. Like, oh, I'll just go on there. I go on there to check the lunch menu. I could go over here to board and go watch a board meeting. See what I mean? It's almost like
I don't think it's on our website, though, it's on Facebook, right?
what's on her, their
Well, for the
Facebook.
Grand
It's
Star, I think you're looking at it being.
I'm talking a whole new deal. Because I just think that's a great way to treat our people, our citizens. Because I know how I felt, and I know how the people that's complained feel.
So your other concern is in a scenario that if the Grand Star is not here, it's nothing being published. Is there a way that the school's webpage
Mr.
cannot do it?
Matheson.
So, this is Mr. Moody's idea, I will not steal his more than Mr. Grant.
I wish you would.
So we have a class at the high school, obviously we have yearbook and we have digital media. Both of those classes do a lot of videoing, and, you know, we put out something called the nightly news, but once a month, if we've got in that class, to have a student here to video the board meeting, go back, edit it, anything they needed to edit or whatever, and then post it on the Graham County School. They would have to send it to Myra to be posted on the Graham County School's website.
Yeah, because they do a great job
Yeah,
putting out the
they
news.
do.
And just think about resume and other, like maybe the commissioners might hire one of your folk to come over there and do the work. I like it.
That's a good idea. But we could try something here, right?
Well, we need her to go talk to Kevin and see about getting a cord, extended cord. Like I said, we'll pay for it if that would solve the problem. So about 25, 30 foot should, when you think about 25, 30 foot, Dave,
Yeah.
if they could get us an extended cord, let us know and we can try that and see.
In addition to maybe somebody else videoing it.
Yes, that's
Like
what
Mr. Madison said, one of that
I
particular.
mean, they bring an iPad up here with a stand and video on, I mean, you know, it's,
Zoom,
yeah.
get everybody and pay attention. That's what Randy used to do. If you remember, Randy would take that phone and he was right there. I had to go in and watch these. And when he was here, we could hear everything this board said, but just without here was the problem.
Okay. So what are we doing?
So we need to vote on that. Is that correct, Ms. Davis?
Right, you're going to authorize Robert to talk with Kevin and come up with the cord and mic,
Okay.
and then Mr.
Mr.
Madison
Madison.
to proceed with
With
his
this
video,
class.
his class.
Right, okay. Do I have a motion to allow Mr. Moody, Robert Moody, to investigate this and allow Mr. Matheson to give his class at least one student to come to each meeting and video and audio the board meeting?
I make a motion to do that.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so that motion carries.
I have one other thing.
Thought you were
Yes,
One issue that we will run into possibly is, when it's during the summer, when I don't have students on campus.
But I can assign that to, usually I have a summer worker,
Yeah.
and we'll make it.
And they probably have had, if you have some work, they probably have her class.
Yeah.
A lot of them do, for sure.
Or she could show them how to do.
We're gonna do that, they got next board meeting, it's not during a student day, it's maybe we'll postpone that, so.
Okay. I'm glad to get that settled. Okay, personnel, Ms. Knight.
Yes, during the closed session, I'll bring you names for several personnel positions.
Okay. Board policies, Ms. Davis.
All right. You know that it's being churned out of the General Assembly pretty quickly, and you're ahead of the game. You're up there with Charlotte Meck in the sense of what you've adopted. But policy 6120, the policy is not before you. You've already adopted it, and that's student health services. What Letitia and her group has worked on and completed is a protocol. So, and you have it, if you look, you have paper clipped on your desk, 2 items. Just pull it, clip.
Oh.
There's 2 things there. Here's the protocol.
Oh,
I did
okay.
it. I'm sorry, that's yours. So the protocol addendum to the student health services, you pass that, and then Letitia you have to implement that policy. You have to implement all your policies, but
Right.
some of these are pretty tough, like student health services. So the Letitia protocol addendum and implement policy 6120, and that's what you have in front of you. And then you can also bring it back next meeting. But it's not passing a policy, she's sharing with the board the protocol for implementing the policy. And I'm going to put it
So
in
we
the
don't need to do this until next meeting?
Well, if you have any questions of her, it's a protocol to implement it, and I'll put it in our policy manual. But
Go ahead, Letitia.
So what I wanted to call your attention to is that in previous times, you all have voted on a protocol that was probably, it had lots of interpretations to it as far as how we would request students to have mental health evaluations. What we are finding with Medicaid expansion and what we are finding with providers is that there are oftentimes barriers when we have to send students out who might be considered suicidal or might be a perceived threat to others. And so what we're hoping to do as staff members is to triage just a little bit better. We're trying to have a better interpretation of a student who might be self-harming to determine the severity of those types of things and to determine, based on what you've got in here in your packet, if there are different screening results, whether it's a potential risk, some risk, no risk, and you'll see that language highlighted in your new protocol. And so this study here can give you just a little bit of information on the Columbia Suicide Rating Scale. That's one of the things that we would like to be able to train our staff in. We would like for them to be very knowledgeable.
So we have that.
You have the old policy, and you also have a copy of this new protocol
Okay.
in your packet. And so there's some language changing in there, and there's also a greater extension of attempting to notify parents of situations. Sunny, do you want to give them a little bit of an update on the Columbia?
So the Columbia Suicide Severity Rating Scale is a empirical scale. It's, it's been around probably 40 years. It does not have to be administered by a licensed clinician. Anybody can take about a 30, 45-minute training and use it because it's very cut and dry questions. Does the student say this? Is the student saying that? There's nothing that is like where you have to kind of, it's very cut and dry. So, and then it breaks it down and says, if you have more than 2 yeses, then you need to do this. If you have 4 yeses, you need to do this. And so it's just very, very, very cut and dry and very easy to use. We're trying to train our crisis group first, and then we were going to just talk about whether or not we needed to get several of the teachers on each campus, or if we just want to leave it with us.
If I could call your attention to number 2, this is where the language changes primarily from what you have previously had to what we are trying to adopt now. If you look at number 2, it says the designated critical staff member will assess the validity and severity of the information presented on the student. And always before in the past, we've had sort of a adoption that if there's any type of procedure, if there is any type of notion that there could be, we send them out immediately. What we're finding though is that there's not providers that are often trained or able and credentialed to take everything that's now related to Medicaid expansion. So we're having students who might have to be out of school for a month because we can't get the clearance for them to be back. So our goal is to have the highest level of training that we can as counselors, social workers, and nurses to be able to triage the level of severity, contact parents, determine the necessary steps that need to happen, and then to be able to create a plan for that student to be back in school. The most immediate and severe cases will always be sent out for referral, and we will require that reentry plan for students to return.
Okay, let me get clear on this. I have Student Health Services 6120 right here. This policy, correct?
Yes.
And this here is an addendum to this.
This is a protocol change.
Protocol for implementing that policy.
This policy?
Yeah,
Okay,
the
that's
protocol.
all. But this is the policy.
Right, 6120.
Right, that's what I have right here. Correct? Student Health Services?
Yeah, well, I didn't hand that out, I just.
No, I had this from last time.
Oh, okay.
I brought it back, believe it or not. But, so this is just, help me again, it's what?
It's a protocol to help them implement
Okay.
6120.
You all adopt policies and from your own decisions as well as what the state requires. And so they need to be implemented. And Letitia came up with this protocol. And I think it's important for y'all to see. I mean, your new policy 6120, we've always had it, but it's newly revised. And here's the protocol to implement it. It's your policies have to be implemented by your administrators. And some of them you can read and, everyone agrees. But this is protocol steps to implement the student.
Because this is so safety sensitive, that way you're not having to stop and interpret what you should be doing. It gives you a step-by-step guide, something that is so safety sensitive for a child's health.
And Pam, I guess the best way to answer your question is you have this protocol. You adopted this probably, a year and a half ago?
Right, it's not.
But as situations change, as circumstances change, we have to constantly review that protocol. And sometimes it's necessary to make those adjustments, and that's what we're finding, is that it's not fair to a student who may already be in crisis situations and can't find a provider in the community to train them to be back in school, to be out of school a month. We've just compounded that problem. So our goal is to try to triage and determine the level of severity. And that was not stipulated in your first.
So I can put this policy with this.
As far as I'm concerned, yes. But essentially, what you're looking at is a new protocol. Or an
Okay,
updated
okay, got it.
You both talked about the elementary and middle school and some on the high school. How is it at the schools with everything going on? How is the students, how is the vibes, and how's everything going?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Our staff is exhausted. I'm not going to try to paint a pretty picture. I'm going to be very honest with you. We have some children who are in critical needs. And we have staff members who are very well trained, but they are exhausted.
I think it was 3 weeks ago on a Monday. It was after the athletic director from Swain County. I'm sorry, the athletic trainer. That following Monday, before noon, we had 7 kids that we had responded to for some type of crisis.
Wow.
So,
But I do think the elementary, because Ms. Hooper brought it the last time, that her staff had training on how to help kids work through taking ownership of their.
Everybody's had that.
Do what?
District-wide.
Oh, you are,
everybody's
everybody's
had
had this? Okay. And that really should help. I mean, it should help the kid think about themselves taking responsibility. But I know what you're saying, though.
the youth mental health first aid has to be you have to re-qualify every 2 years. And I just recently, myself and Jessica Ayers, one of the teachers at elementary, got certified to teach that. We just haven't figured out when we're going to do that.
Because I think the guy that did it,
So I think it's two different things. So they're talking more about mental health behavior, and the training at the elementary that you're talking about is more of a classroom management behavior.
okay.
Yeah, because they just had that, I can't put the name on it, but they just had that training with their whole staff. And it really, I think, is good. And it certainly will help, but I think it's a little bit different behavior.
Yes.
Everybody's had mental health first aid in Marion County schools.
Oh, I realize that, yes, I
And
did.
let me make a statement about that. So my training with staff would have been probably about 4 years ago. So after a standard amount of time, that lapses, and so Sunny now has recertified, Sunny and Jessica are recertified. And coming down the pipeline, that's going to be a push from the state of North Carolina, that we train staff and students again, and that we begin weaving that back into part of our standard delivery with students, so.
They're also, the state is also beginning to push teen mental health first aid, which is a class that you teach the students. It's just like what we teach to adults, but it's taught to students. And they want to talk to every high school kid.
Sounds to me like this is serious enough, we need to vote on this today. We need to vote on this. Because this protocol addendum, like you said, gives it specifically what to do. And even I could give this by just following this.
And Mr. Nelson, I will say that we can educate children if we can't keep them safe. And there are children who come to school with very significant stories.
I understand.
And if we miss this opportunity to keep our children safe, we are going backwards rather than going forwards.
But if I'm not out of order,
No, I think you're
I want to make not make a motion. I want to approve the protocol addendum to student health services added to policy 6120. Do I have a motion to approve this today?
I move that we add this protocol to student services.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
It's because I haven't read it and I haven't been able to go through it. It's not rejecting it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing you have is Graham County Board of Education Policy Committee.
Yes.
The November 16, 2023. This was the outline that the policy committee covered. There's so much new coming down the pipe, the requirements, and Hank, and I apologize, protocols usually for just the policies approved. I think the seriousness of it, protocols need to come before the board, and then you have time to read it, that kind of thing. Generally, that hasn't been, that's just, you already have the policy, it's a protocol, so we can do that. Anyway, I just, the reason I put in the outline on the policy committee is the policy committee worked through this. And when we met in November, it was Tanya Walsh, David Matheson, Adam Brooks, Erica Sawyer, and Amanda Daniels. So we covered a lot of territory, and what I'll do is come back in January. Again, it's procedure. You've all passed these policies, but there is a procedure that administrators must do with student and parents, so we're going to format it. There is a procedure that for the emergency graduation requirement of 22 hours, there's a procedure. So, and there's another, we've gone further than just the policies. There are certain procedures you have to show that you review with the parents, with the administrator, etc. You have to tell them about the military. You have to tell them that they're not going to have any more services in high school if they leave when they're 16 or graduate. So anyway, it's quite detailed. So again, it's more protocol to implement these policies. So I'll come with that in. We spent a number of hours on it, and I'll format that. And then there's for teacher misconduct, the General Assembly's up the criminal procedures on that one, and making most of it felony. And so the State Board of Ed has come out with a format that everyone in the school system must use if you're reporting teacher misconduct. I'll get that to you, and we'll start reviewing that in January. So, okay, thank you. That's it.
All right, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
I so moved.
Pursuant to the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 3, and 143-318.11, parentheses C, I move that the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session to receive advice from Ms. Ellen Davis, attorney for Graham County Board of Education, which advice comes within the purview of the attorney-client privilege. The advice will be general legal advice about legal issues and legal matters. Pursuant to the provision of North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11C, parentheses C, I move that the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of considering personnel matters as defined in and allowed by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 6, and North Carolina General Statute 115C-3.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend employee Lakota Cable and Jonathan Allison as custodians.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to excuse myself.
Okay. Mr. Allison has requested to recuse himself from voting since it applies to him. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll just do one at a time. So, all right, so I recommend Lakota Cable as a custodian.
Now you can vote for him or her.
I move that we hire him for the position of custodian.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Now, do I have a motion? Mr. Allison has recused himself because this involves him. And do I have a motion to approve his recusal?
I move we approve his recusal.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Now,
Then I'm going to make a recommendation that you approve Jonathan Allison as a 12-month custodian.
okay. Do I have a motion to approve Jonathan Allison as a custodian?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, you have been approved, Mr. Allison. Next.
I recommend that you approve Samantha Hooper and Tylee Alicia Magaha as instructional substitutes.
Do I have a motion to approve Samantha Hooper and Tilly Alicia Magaha as instructional substitutes?
I so move that we have them as instructional substitutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend that you approve Keely Jordan and Christy Odom as 21st Century Learning Center tutors.
Do I have a motion to approve Keely Jordan and Christy Odom as 21st Century Learning Center tutors?
Yes, I so.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
And I recommend that you approve the following as volunteers: Austin Lovin, Henry McCoy, Michaela Halliburger, and Ava Barnett.
Do I have a motion to approve volunteers Austin Lovin, Henry McCoy, Michaela Halliburger, and Eva Barnett?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Is that it? Okay. Are there any announcements, Ms. Knight?
So your next regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting is January the 2nd. I would like to make the recommendation that you consider moving that. That is an annual leave day for all 12-month employees. We will be here if that's the board's desire, but I feel like if you have questions or about policies or anything that we would need to ask any of our administrators, there would be no one on campus. So,
When do they come back?
like
The 4th? Do they come back on Thursday, the 4th?
they
Just
do.
move it to the 9th.
We can move it
Following
to
Tuesday.
the following Tuesday.
All right. Now, I will not be here the next week. Can we move it to the 4th or the 5th?
I can do the 4th. I can't do the 9th.
I can do the 11th or the 12th, but I cannot do,
Can we do the 3rd?
no, Carolyn's got an appointment, doctor's appointment, I have to take her.
So is there, do we have, we can't do it
We
before?
do the 10th?
We can't do it the 4th?
We can.
Can't do it the 10th?
Can you do, can,
The 10th, I'll be gone.
so Pam, you can't do the 4th? Okay. Okay.
About the 11th.
What about the 11th?
No.
Is that a Tuesday?
The 11th is a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Is Tuesday better for you?
Monday,
Any that week.
You won't be here the week of January?
No, I'll be gone.
so really, there's not going to be a
Sunday,
lot of
Wednesday.
board business. I would not be opposed January month, even if you went into the middle week in January. I
Week
would-
of the 15th.
On a Tuesday?
That would be the 16th. On that Tuesday, you want to keep a Tuesday meeting.
It'd be better for Miss Day.
I mean, that would be good for the
The
16th.
16th would be all right? All right.
That's fine.
16th at 10 o'clock?
10 a.m., good.
Okay.
Okay, that'll work
Well,
for
well,
me.
thank you, and I mean, like I said, if you wanted to do the second, I'm gonna be here. Not be
We got to put our.
Okay, we've got the 16th at 10 a.m.
And then we won't have to change it.
And that'll give us 3 weeks till the February meeting.
Can I ask a quick question? Who brought us back into open session?
Mr. Carringer and then Ms. Knight.
So the February meeting will be the 6th.
That's correct, that's the first Tuesday. Yeah, and we should be back. Regular schedule. The only other announcement that I have, there's the ladies and gentlemen in the office have prepared a lunch, and everyone's welcome to join us for that. In their appreciation of
Okay,
what y'all do for Graham County Schools.
thank you for changing that meeting time when I can be here.
Oh, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?